Virgo, hello there, my beautiful friends. We're going to do your general tarot reading for early to mid February 2026. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, I appreciate each and every single one of you. So let's get right down to business, as always, and start you off with an oracle card here, just so we can dip our toes in the energy and see what's happening for the lovely Virgo collective. Hope you're all doing fabulous and fantastic, my friends. Let's get it going here. My guide spirit team, talk to me. What do we got for these beautiful Virgos in early to mid-February? What energies, messages, insights can we take a little peek at? And yeah, we're just going to take a real quick look at this first card. Then we'll get into the full reading itself. At the very end, I'll pull you a bonus card from the Shadowland Tarot just to see what might be in the shadows or what shadow work you can lean into, which is always interesting. But let's get it going here. Let's rock and see what we got for Virgo in early to mid-February. What's the vibe? What's the energy here for my good friends? Been having some really intriguing readings the last few weeks. Okay. Love this lady's haircut. There's just something about that hairdo. I'm like, yeah, that's unique. I like it. So this card is actually pretty decent. I love certain levels and layers within there. There's this big troubleshooting type of energy here as well, where it's like I'm making adjustments, I'm fixing this, I'm tweaking that. So I'm getting a lot intuitively from this card initially. Now, before we fully dive into that, if you're new here, I'll be speaking about the February subscriber surprise towards the end, so you might want to check that out. And also, if you could kindly illuminate that like button by tapping it right on its third eye, you know I'd greatly appreciate it. But enough of the promo, back into the reading. Let's talk about this unique, lovely individual on this card. So we see her there with her interesting hairdo. She has the little sewing machine with the rainbow coming out of it, and she is holding a golden thread. Now, first thing my mind always goes to is creativity. So again, any creative endeavor, creative pursuit could be highly favored in this time. So whether it's expressing yourself through writing or art or music or anything that brings the inside outside, if that makes sense. And I was getting this in the other earth signs as well. It's not just Virgo this week. Now, if we get into the specifics, when I think of a sewing machine, I think of creation. And it's very precise. It's very meticulous. She's holding the golden thread. And that's why, like, it was hitting my intuition where it's like, I'm fixing this, I'm troubleshooting that. So whether that's advice from spirit saying like, all right, Virgo, maybe you want to troubleshoot this or look at this again, tweak this, tweak that. And I think this is also good for mending things and fixing things, not clothes, right? Not just fabrics, but anything that you might be working through. You might want to think outside the box when this card shows up too, because it's like, get creative with the solutions. So I like it. There's this mending here, and the energy does feel a little bit busy. So I think it's good for creativity, but we're just going to let her chill out right there. She could keep doing her work. Let's get into tarot. And yeah, I always say that first card, it doesn't make or break the reading. It's just a little footnote. So let's get you 3 tarot cards in the upright. Then we'll get into that intuitive juiciness. Shuffle it up one time here for my Virgo friends. And while we get this deck shuffled up and ready to go, let's talk about last week's reading. It was a unique one, right? And it was very, very in-depth and particular because I was getting a lot of looking and watching and surveillance. The reading was titled They Are Watching You, but it didn't just feel like someone was observing you. It was like, I'm watching you while you're watching me, or there were like multiple layers of observation. So for some of you, maybe it was spirit saying like, hey, keep your eye on this, Virgo, or keep your attention on it. I mean, we'll see if that shows up again this week, because energy could bleed over. But yeah, let's see what shows up this week. As you know, energy is very fluid, never set in stone. So only take this how it hits for you, because we could be seeing your vibe or somebody else, right? Let's get it going. 3 cards here for my Virgo friends. What do we got in early to mid-February for the Virgos, please? Okay. Quick. Action. Like, this energy is not sitting back. So similar to some other signs this week, we got people. So if you're not feeling very peoply, if you're not a people person right now, this energy might ruffle the feathers a little bit. But we got 2 totally different approaches to something with the Knight of Wands and the Queen of Cups. Let's get one more here. One more here for Virgo. Okay. Cautious. Very cautious energy. So we have the 9 of Wands right back here. So right now, Virgo, I'm feeling very neutral about the things we're seeing in the energy. The fire does have my attention, I could tell you that. But let's go through. I'll give you some of the classical meanings and archetypes. Then we'll get into that juicy, intuitive stuff. But at first glance, I always look at the elements. It's the first thing that always jumps out to me. It's important because it could highlight how the energy is moving, first of all, but also areas of life that could be very important. And as you can see, lots of fire. Knight of Wands, Nine of Wands. We also have water with the cups. Now, when it comes to the wands, it's not inherently a bad element, right? Like when I see fire, that's the realm of action. So whether it's the actions you take, the actions you want to take, the actions you're planning on taking, someone else's actions, all of that could be in play when we see a lot of fire. I think of vitality, I think of energy levels, I think of physical and mental well-being when I see all this fire, because it's like either I'm feeling really high or I'm feeling low. It's one or the other. Think of passion, drive, and desire, motivation. That's a huge thing. It's your get up and go when we have a lot of fire. But the downside to it, obviously, is it can be explosive, right? You know, fire, sometimes it could go a little wild on you. So we want to keep a close eye on all this fire, because if it's a contained fire, that's a good thing. If it's running wild and running loose, maybe not so much. But in the center, we do have water, which can kind of tamp this down a little bit, but water is more so that internal realm we were seeing with the oracle card. So emotions, people, or things that we care deeply for. Your emotions could be a little more intense than they normally are when we have the Queen of Cups. It's very sentimental, or just cups in general, very sentimental. Um, it could be the creative juices flowing or looking for creative solutions and options. That could be a big thing when we have water. But the downside to water is it's always ebbing and flowing, right? It's either coming or going. It's back and forth. It's hot, it's cold. So we want to really take a look because we have mixed input. Let's go through and start building this out piece by piece. Position number one, we're starting here with our good pal, the Knight of Wands himself. Now, if some of you might be connected to a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. If that's not the case, I always say knights to me represent action. So we have the action suit with an action card. It could also be communication, especially when we have multiple people showing up here. But the Knight of Wands is a double dose of action, one way or another. Now, there's some good things here. This is a card that could represent progress, getting results. This could be an energy you're very fired up about. So, whether it's motivation or maybe someone steps on the toes, like there's just something here that's making me fired up. And I know normally, and I deal with a lot of Virgos in personal life and professional. I love talking to you guys in personal readings. But when I get the Knight of Wands, it's not so contained. So if you're normally a nice, contained type of individual, when I see the Knight of Wands, you might be burning hot for one reason or another. Now, the downside to the Knight of Wands is very similar to what we were saying about the suit itself. It could be unpredictable. It could do things out of nowhere. It could be a little volatile. If it's a person's personality traits, usually it's outgoing, life of the party, but that can also switch. It can also flip. So we do want to keep a very close eye on this Knight of Wands. And again, it could just be a combo because moving over, we have a much softer, subtle energy with the Queen of Cups. Now, when it comes to queens, they're not so much action. They represent the internal aspect of the suit itself. And if you remember, we were seeing the cups. I was like, yeah, that's about the emotions and things you care for. The Queen of Cups is a double dose of the emotion. So it's like we have a double dose of the action. We have a double dose of the emotion. It's like everything's cranked up this week for Virgo, which again, if you've channeled this energy, that could be a very good thing. I'm just feeling much more intensity than I normally do in Virgo readings. Like it's not as contained. Now, the Queen of Cups, if you're not connected to a water sign, remember it's not gender specific. So Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. The Queen of Cups could be a good shoulder to lean on. It could be someone that's really good to speak to, someone that actually listens. There's nurturing, loving, caring. I think of mother figures and nurturers when I see this. I think of nurses, like that, just tenderness and people that actually care. So she's a very good card, but it's also very subtle. And the big thing with the Queen of Cups, aside from the creativity as well, the downside to her is sometimes she can suppress. Sometimes, like she's like, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm push it down, down, down. So watch out for emotional suppression in this time. Now, moving to the back end, we have a card that could be a little tricky for several reasons. We have the Nine of Wands. The Wounded Warrior is what a lot of readers call this card. And we see this individual, they have built a wall, they got the bandage around the head. That does imply that they've been through a rough one, and they kind of don't want to go through it again. Now, the good aspects to the Nine of Wands is the fact that it's cautious, it's territorial, nothing's getting past this one. So it's like, I'm on guard, I'm on alert. And it's just very protective. This can also represent somebody that has a lot of wisdom due to the things that they've been through. where it's like I've been through a lot, but I have a lot of wisdom from it, and I'm not going to be tricked again. It's like giving me that kind of energy. The downside to the Nine of Wands could represent big communication issues. It could represent miscommunication. So, like when I see these two cards, I could be chatting it up, and the Nine of Wands, it's like, oh, I didn't mean to say it like that. Or there could be some sort of miscommunication or communication issue. The Nine of Wands can also represent somebody that's, hermit mode, where they're sealing themselves off from the world, where it's like, no, I'm not, you're not crossing this line. But it can also be a card of boundaries. So whether it's you enforcing them or someone else enforcing them, the worst case scenario with the Nine of Wands is that it could represent rejection. But it is also an energy that's like, I'm keeping a very close eye. So there's this cautionary energy. So I want to dive deeper on all of it, Virgo. Let's do it. Let's jump in and clarify. Okay, let's get a good shuffle here. Let's see what's happening for Virgo. We got a lot of intensity, my friends. And yes, this is where I go intuitive with the message, which means I just tell you how it feels to me. So feel free to do further research or rely on your base knowledge of tarot, because as you know, every single reading is about the reader's interpretation, and I'm just giving you mine. Let's go in on the Knight of Wands. And yeah, if you're a reader yourself, please feel free to play along. That's why the box is here. If you're feeling any messages you want to give to Virgo, you could drop it in the comments. I don't mind at all. Okay, Knight of Wands time. What's he doing? What is he doing? Thank you. Oh, all right. Now, for some of you, this could be a good thing, but it just feels so intense. So we have the Six of Wands in reverse. That's an energy where it's like, yeah, no, I'm not letting that one slide. I'm not letting that one go. The energy definitely diverges here, Virgo. Okay, so watch out for any individuals that might get offended quickly. That's initially what I'm seeing here, where like, because that's what it feels like. Someone that's like very reactionary, or they're, quick to say something, quick to jump, like they give big reactions like out of nowhere, even with a small slight. So there is this little warning. Now, I will also say this: Knight of Wands, Six of Swords in reverse. This can also represent something returning quickly. So whether Spirit wants you to look back on a situation, revisit it, maybe there is some unfinished business where it's like, yeah, I'm not letting that go that easy. So again, whether that's you or somebody else, there is this explosive energy around a return of some kind. But the other one I was picking up is like, all right, let's go. Like, you want to go? Let's go. Now, that can be good. Like, when there's certain individuals where they kind of like feed your fire, where it's like, yeah, well, usually I'm calm, but this person has an effect on me. Like, it's giving me something like that. I know that's super unique. I don't normally feel stuff like that. Usually the Six of Swords is an energy that's calming down, improving, getting better, coming out of the choppy waters into the calm. When I see it in reverse, either it's something returning very rapidly, or this to me is an energy that's going back into the choppy waters, where it's like, no, all right, let's go. You want to go? Let's go. You want to do it? Let's do it. It's like giving me that kind of energy. So could it be an explosive talk of some kind? Possibly. It doesn't even have to be coming from your end. Like, to me, it's just something that intensifies very quickly. So we got the return, we got the talk or message. Let's keep going. All right. That's like an energy that doesn't seem to want to back down as well. So let's go in on the Queen of Cups. Very specific. So only take it if it hits, my friends. Why is the Queen of Cups here? Why is the Queen of Cups here? Okay. This energy, I don't want to say this one's backing down, but it's the whole entire opposite to this Knight of Wands. All right, so we have the Moon in reverse underneath the Queen of Cups. It's like, I'm going to keep this to myself for now. So there is this secretive type of energy. And again, secretive isn't always a bad thing, but it's like, yeah, I'm just going to keep this information to myself for a minute. I'm going to put it away for a rainy day. So it's funny, like we have this energy that's letting it all loose, letting it all hang out. And then this one is like, yeah, all right, I'm not going to do anything about it right now, but I will remember it. It's like giving me that kind of energy. Either that or it's someone keeping very quiet purposefully. Now let's talk about it a little more in depth. The Moon. This could connect to Pisces, also Cancer. Usually in the upright, just like I was saying with her, it's a very soft and subtle type of energy. It's quiet, it's calm, could represent intuition, psychic gifts, and all that. But it is the biggest card of mystery in the whole entire tarot deck. So when I see it in reverse, underneath this Queen of Cups, remember I said she could take things and push them down, down, down. It's somebody withholding information. That's just how it feels, where it's like this one energy, it's out in the open, it's saying it, it's doing it, 0 to 100. It's like letting it all rip. But then this energy is like not letting anything out. It's complete and total opposite. Where this one's like, I'll take that little nugget and I'll save it for later. I'll take that piece of information. So it does feel like a secret to me, or somebody just being a little secretive, which again doesn't have to be bad. But as far as the communication goes, one is much more open. The other one is definitely not as open, not even close. It's like being very secretive. All right, let's keep going. Let's go in on the Nine of Wands, because this might even be observation. Because like these people, like they're doing all this. The Nine of Wands is like looking on, right? So let's see what he has. What's the Nine of Wands here? Then we'll do our recap quick. Okay. I I like this per se. I mean the energy. So the energy is a little wild here for you again this week, Virgo, but not necessarily in a bad way. So we have the Seven of Swords in reverse underneath the Nine of Wands. There could be an individual that Spirit wants you to be a little cautious with, or someone that they want you to be aware of. Like that's initially what I'm seeing here. Now, the Seven of Swords is usually in the upright one of the cards where it's a mystery as well. So that's secretive energy, but it's also, it could represent like thieves and people that aren't very trustworthy and people with alternate motives and stuff, or ulterior motives. So when I see the Seven of Swords underneath the Nine of Wands in reverse, it's like, all right, I've seen this before. So I'm not sure if you see a certain behavior out of someone where it's like, oh, no, I've seen this before. It's like giving me that kind of energy. But the main thing, remember I was saying about this Nine of Wands, it's very protective. It's very cautious. It keeps its eyes on things. When I see the Seven of Swords in reverse, this is a clear cut warning or caution from Spirit saying, like, all right, Virgo, even if you're not doing anything in this exact moment, just keep your eyes on this person or keep your eyes on this situation. Watch it close, even if you're not acting just yet. So it kind of ties in where like this energy is acting. This one is like stashing information. This one is observing, but being very cautious. So again, for some of you, it could be about a very specific individual where Spirit's like, just be careful with this one, Virgo. Keep a close eye on it, or the situation itself. So there's a lot of stuff happening here. But the funny thing is, I don't feel all of it emanating from you. That's the thing, right? Like, because if I were seeing like the Hermit and Virgo cards and like all of it emanating from you, to me, this is like stuff around me, not coming from me. All right, but let's go through and do a quick recap. Then we'll get into the shadow. I feel like I could keep talking about this one this week. But if you kindly look in the box, position number one, we have the Knight of Wands with the Six of Swords in reverse. The energy does divert. For some of you, this could be an explosive return of some sort where it just comes back in and it's barreling in. It is like a flare up. But the other message I have here is one that's really letting it all loose. It could be an explosive talk or just someone going 0 to 100 and it's not holding back and it's like, you want to go, let's go. So just watch out for that. It's aggressive, but it doesn't have to be like terrible. All right. Moving to the center, we have the total opposite. So maybe this energy is calming down. Queen of Cups, Moon in reverse. To me, this felt like someone stashing information or making or taking mental notes or being a little secretive, saying like, all right, I'll address this another time. But it's keeping information. This one's open and letting it all hang out. This one is clamped down. Moving to the back end, we have the Nine of Wands with the Seven of Swords in reverse. To me, for some of you, it's like, all right, you've seen something similar before, Virgo, so just keep an eye. But there could be someone that Spirit wants you to be very cautious with, or to at least keep an eye on them. So please take a screenshot if you want to look into it further. Let's see what's in the shadows. Okay, let's get a good shuffle here for Virgo. What's happening? And yeah, I always like to pull one shadow card at the very end just to see whether it's something within you or something you don't quite see. Shadow cards don't always have to be a challenge. They could be a good thing too. So let's get you one. And yeah, if you made it to this point in the reading, please feel free to check out channel memberships. I'll put a link for it in the comments below. It's a beautiful way to support the channel. I have much love for all my channel members. Okay, let's get this card out. What do we got for Virgo? Quick, very first shuffle. Six of Swords. Funny how that happens, right? We have the Six of Swords in the main part of the spread, and it shows up in your shadow card as well. Now, we'll talk about the shadow side of this for sure. In the good sense, remember what I said earlier? In the upright, this card can represent coming out of choppy waters into calm, or just letting something work how it needs to work, or just letting something mellow itself out. That's what this card could represent. But the shadow side of the Six of Swords can sometimes be a little careless. Sometimes it's an energy that is missing information or not paying attention to what it should be. So I'm not sure if this is someone you're connected to where you're like, that's an oversight. Oh, you should really be doing this, because this energy, if it's not straight out abandoning something, it's missing a piece of the puzzle. There's something it's not paying attention to that it should be. So again, whether this is a work thing, a personal relationship thing, the Six of Swords can be a little careless. And again, I'm not saying that's you, but the energy does feel a little nonchalant to me. Hopefully it's something improving, but the energy does feel nonchalant. So we're just going to put it down right there, Virgo. That's what I have for you this week, my friends. Don't click away just yet, though. I'm going to give you the details. The February subscriber surprise. If you would like further insight on your situation, you could book a personal reading with me at my website, mastermetaphysics.com, so we could have a little chat. My February calendar is up, so go check that out. They usually go pretty quick. But for the February subscriber surprise, we're doing a nice different style this month. We're doing a winner's choice. So the winners, which will be 3, will have their choice of the Tarot of the Owls, the Gilded Tarot Royale, or a handmade crystal pendant from my shop, mastermetaphysics.com, once again. So if you'd like to get your name in for this, it's 2 simple things. As always, my friends, first, you must be subscribed. And second, let me know down in the comments, out of all the cards we saw in this week's reading, which one caught your attention the most, whether it really inspired you or hit you right in your feelings. Anyone that stood out to you, and you'll be entered to win. And at the end of the month, the winners will be announced in my community tab. As always, my friends, much love, and I'll see you soon.